I think we're live. I think we're
Oh,
live.
hey. Hey, hi.
Hey,
Hey. Hey, hi. Hi. Hey, hi. Hi.
as always, Unready.
Uh-huh.
That's our thing. Welcome
Mhm.
everyone to the wow, very unready today. The Unready Room. I'm Dan Gunther. With me, of course, is Brandi Jackola. Brandi, hey, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you.
Um, yeah, and we're here to talk about Star Trek Lower Decks, the episode Reflections. Before we get there, though, Brandi, you're
Mm.
you're having an interesting weekend at the moment, if I'm
Mm,
correct. What are you up to this
interesting.
weekend? What's going on?
Okay. Well, our part in this has concluded because they don't do this stuff on Sundays here because Mormons. But
Oh, right.
FanX 2022, it's our nerd con. It's our nerd con. I did manage to actually meet one Star Trek guest, actually, which is this guy.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
Yeah, and I
Ah.
love the picture. I'm just like, please have a daddy cue. Please, 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 please. And of course he did. Of course he did. And that was great. And so yes, we are very tired. Dave and I are very tired. You might be able
I
to
bet.
tell from my slightly slurred speech. And because it's a lot of sensory overload for just hours on end and a lot of walking and honestly it was obviously better this year because I've lost weight and so I didn't have the same physical problems, but walking 4 to 5 miles during a
Hmm.
convention will still mess you up.
Oh yeah,
but uh
absolutely.
but we did have a lot of fun. We did a panel on emotional intelligence and Star Trek Discovery and Strange New Worlds. And it was like at the end of day 2, which was 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. 8 p.m. is when the convention floor closed. Tha. And so I wasn't sure how many people we'd get, but a lot of people were there. And so that made me happy. And we had some good interactions, some good questions, and some people come up and talk to us afterwards. And so I felt special.
Nice.
And so did Dave. That
Oh,
was Dave's first panel.
that's
And he
awesome.
did a great job. So we
That's
did
really
record
cool.
it. Yeah, we did record it, and we will be listening. It's gonna be like this tonight, guys. Um, we will be releasing that recording as part of the What the Future Holds podcast.
Hmm.
And so you can hear it there if you so desire. And
Excellent. Yeah, definitely,
yeah.
definitely check that out. I bet you that's a great panel. I'd love to check that out for sure. Yeah. So welcome everyone. As I've said, I didn't say, of course, welcome everyone in the comments. Thank you so much for joining us. Lots of regulars as usual. Great to see everyone. And welcome everybody who's watching later as well. We really do appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. We've already got episode discussion going on, and I warned you guys. I warned you folks last week. Yeah,
Mhm.
this is an episode. This is yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, lots going on. Lots of people's favorite character, Rutherford, kind of the mystery surrounding the little tidbits we got at the end of last season. A
Yes.
little bit of advancement on that here, and yeah,
Mhm.
it's loaded. There's some stuff going on. Um, the first thing I want to talk about is the teaser of the episode before the credits, because rewatching it this time, basically we've got like Rutherford in the middle of a dream, thing blows up, he wakes up in a cold sweat, screaming, and then it goes to credits. There are no jokes. There's the crewman in the towel
Mhm.
screams and gets annoyed and walks off. But that's the closest thing approximating a joke in this, which I think really sets the tone for Rutherford's story in this episode.
Indeed, except that guy really should replicate a larger towel already. Or get a
Yeah,
robe. Just get a robe. I think we've established that sonic showers don't need towels.
I think so. And robes are so much more comfortable. That
Mm.
said, I'm bad for not using a robe when I should. They're so comfy, and I just, yeah. So I get it, towel guy. I get it. But maybe a bit bigger one. I need a big towel. That's what, I can't do a
Yes.
piddly. Oh, hotel towels? Don't even get me started.
No, you gotta have those oversized bath towels that you can wrap around you like you're in a burrito.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Best
exactly.
kind.
Like it should go around once or twice,
At least. At least.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, that was, like I said, the closest we got to a joke there. The scream was funny, but it,
Mm.
it, it felt like well, we got to have something in there that's a bit of a laugh. But yeah, it's definitely, there's some heaviness there, because I remember thinking like, oh, we're just going straight to the credits. Oh boy.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll split up. There's two main stories, of course, going on. I'm going to put it to you, Brandi. What do you want to talk about first, the Rutherford story or the Boimler Mariner story?
Let's talk about Boimler and Mariner first.
Okay, a little lighter, and then yeah, we'll finish with
Yeah.
the heavy stuff. So we're back at Tulgana 4, which was cool.
Woot!
The first of many callbacks in this episode to previous episodes of Lower Decks, which we've kind of talked before. That seems to be a bit of a trend this season, which is kind of cool. They're in season 3, they're coming into their own, they're making their own references. They're not just referencing Star Trek lore, they're referencing their part in creating Star Trek lore, which I think
Yes,
is
I love
great.
it. It's perfect. It's exactly what they need to do, and they're doing it beautifully.
Mm-hmm. So on Telgana 4, we've got Boimler and Mariner assigned to the Starfleet recruitment booth, basically like a 24th century job fair going
Mhm.
on. And I've never thought of that before, but whoever came up with that is brilliant. The idea of Starfleet having a booth trying to recruit people. Uh, and also the introduction to it, where Mariner's going on a bit of a rant. No one ever signed up for Starfleet at the recruitment booth. And Tendi in the background, I did.
I knew she was going to say that too. I'm just waiting for it.
Adorable. Yes. And not helping, of course, but that
Not
was
helping.
such a cute Tendi moment for sure. And yeah, so let's talk a little bit about their booth. Of course, they've got a little model of the Stargazer. They've got the cutouts of Spock and Kirk, animated series style. And something that I loved, which just feels like a callback to all those times we see, Picard with 15 pads all over his desk with different things on them, which does not make sense given how computing has evolved in our lives. But they have the little like standee that holds pamphlets, but it's holding
Mhm.
pads.
Yeah.
Like everybody just gets a pad, I guess. I
They
love
can
that.
replicate those any day of the week. I mean, it's
That's
like,
true.
yeah. I do know, because I found out about this through Aaron Harvey, that the Stargazer constantly falling down and then breaking is a joke from Mike McMahon about Eagle Moss and how his Reliant broke.
Oh no. Oh man. Yeah, like because yeah, Mariner hits the desk and the nacelles just fall off, and a
Mhm.
couple other times we hear it smash kind of off screen.
Oh
Um,
no, the gazer.
uh, oh, I just realized I want to see people wearing those like workout shirts that say Gazer on it, that work on the Stargazer.
Yes. We've got Ritos, we've got Disco. It's time for
Mm-hmm.
Gazer.
Absolutely. um, so Ransom overhears Mariner kind of let's use the more polite word, complaining about the assignment here, and basically threatens them if they step 1 foot outside that booth, they're getting assigned to Starbase 80, which
No,
again,
she is. She is, not him.
That's
She
true.
is.
Well, Boimler's worried that he will too, because at the end he asks in a quaking voice, "Are you transferring me to Starbase 80?" So
Oh no, that's
whether
a hellhole.
no, I wouldn't do that. That's a hellhole. And then, oh man, what did sorry, I missed this the first time around, but I put the subtitles on, of course. When Ransom says, "Oh God, no, that place is a hellhole," and then Kayshawn pipes up, "Koltar when he drowned in the swamp."
I love Kayshawn so much.
He's so great.
Oh.
Oh. um. So yeah, the Mariner mostly that, and it's interesting that that threat works. Like
Mm.
she's like, ugh. Don't want to get assigned to Starbase 80. And again, like we were saying, a reference to Lower Decks lore, which, you know, my favorite quote from season 1, damn, Starbase 80.
Starbase 80.
So yeah, they're working this booth. There's a bunch of other booths. I noted the Outpost Scientists, which have gotten a lot of call outs this season. A booth just labeled Truth. These are like the conspiracy theorists. We've got the collectors, like Kivas Fajo and what's that guy with the weird thing going in out of Paler Toff or Praler Toff from the Most Toys or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And
then the people the people for the race for Move Along Home, I can't remember their name.
Yep, the Waddy.
Thank you. I laughed so hard.
Oh, I was waiting for like an Ala Moraine song call out all episode. I was like, come on. But they didn't need to. But I would have still loved to hear that. And then the Independent Archaeologists Guild, represented by Petra Avadine, who we find out is a former Starfleet officer of the USS Victory, which, if you remember, the Victory was Geordi LaForge's old ship under the command of Captain Zimbata, who we never met. But yeah. Interestingly enough, the model of the Gazer would maybe have reminded Petra of her old ship. So
maybe have. I find that whenever somebody goes back to, when someone meets up with their old captain, it's never good, is it? When is it good? When is it just reminiscing? When is it not some kind of convoluted thing and, oh no, you can't do this, you're nuts now, what happened? Just why is it always that?
I guess DeSoto turned out okay. He just kind of ferries people around. Yeah,
I suppose. It just seems like everyone's former captains are just like off the deep end now.
Oh, so that makes me think that, like, if in Deep Space Nine, Picard visited DS9 with Worf and O'Brien there, would Picard have turned out to have been crazy or something? And probably
don't know.
Probably a good thing we didn't see that outside the pilot episode there.
Yep. Pretty sure that's a good thing.
Oh, Matthew's laughing in Pegasus. Yeah. Not good. Yeah. So I think that's it for the booths. I didn't see, were there any that I missed there? But
well, you see kind of more of them later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the joke of when, Mariner's trying to recruit people and Petra's, kind of heckling, I guess, from her booth there. The guy who's like, if I become an NCO, will I get to go to the bridge? Is like, yeah, maybe. It's like, oh, you're signing yourself up for 7 years in a windowless room. All I can think of is poor O'Brien on TNG. He didn't make it the whole 7 years though. He got out of there before the full 7 years in the windowless room. So
yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yes, the crystal freak from Temporal Edict looking for dilithium, the crystal crazy guys. That was good. Um, okay, Petra Aberdeen. So yeah, the big thing that happens here is like Boimler's kind of keeping Mariner in check. Mariner's, wanting to get angry, but Boimler's really the voice of reason until
Until
those darn outpost scientists. They're just the worst. They take Boimler's rank pin, which that is
don't
the
mess with the
ultimate.
pips.
You don't mess with the pips.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
No. And this is one of the times when I so completely identified with Boimler. I'm just like, that's me. That is me. I can take a lot of stuff, but when you mess with those things that are the dearest and nearest to me, I'm gonna lose my stuff, and it is not going to be pretty. And he did everything I would have done in his place. And
Yeah,
I loved every second of it. Loved every second of it.
absolutely. I just want to jump in here, punk rock zoologist. Sorry you can't stick around, but I like that you brought this up because I loved a lot of those little um, jabs she had at Starfleet. Like they're a pseudo navy, you're in a military, all this stuff. I love that like self awareness of it, and you make a
Mhm.
really good point bringing that up. All those debates that we as fans have had over the decades, when Picard says Starfleet is not a military, and we're like, really? Are you sure?
You have military ranks and
You have
stuff.
military ranks and stuff, and then when the Dominion attacks, I'm not seeing another group stepping up with phasers and photon torpedoes. So
Not so much.
yeah, so I did like that. I like that, the pseudo navy jibes and stuff like that. That was good. And then the other side of it, people saying, well, if you're not a military, why are you wearing uniforms? You don't even need uniforms. They're lame. And yeah, interesting. I like that little back and forth there.
Well, there are other jobs that are not military that do have uniforms.
Mhm.
So, and I'm not talking about like police and whatnot, but there are schools that have uniforms. It's not
Yeah.
like it's not like that's indicative of a military installation.
Mhm.
So, you know.
And this also like continues Boimler's the way he is usually unflappable when it comes to people making fun of him and the things that he's into. And he does reach a breaking point here. But
Mhm.
I did love initially how he was responding to like, oh, the Starfleet uniforms, you think they're cool. And he's like, but that's because they are cool. Like he's just unapologetic about, yeah, no, they're
Yeah.
cool. Shut up.
Mhm.
um okay, so yeah, there's so much in what Boimler says during his rants. And so Patrick, I failed the Kobayashi 17 effing times. um yeah, the doctor. The doctor didn't spend 7 years in the Delta Quadrant for you bleeps to question his agency. He has rights. We just want to explore effing quasars. Yeah,
It was the best.
so good.
Oh, because every
Um,
single thing he said was absolutely true. And so it brought me so much joy because I felt seen.
Absolutely. Uh, and I want to jump back also to Tristan's comment because Tristan is our resident astronomy expert. I am so sorry. I'm very tired.
We're
My
so
brain.
tired up in here. We're
I
so tired.
apologize. That is not astronomy expert. I relate to
Oh.
Boimler's rant about wanting to study quasars. In related sad news, Martin Schmidt, the discoverer of the first quasar, passed away yesterday. So I was not aware of that. So thank you for bringing that up. And this is cool. That first discovered quasar 3C273 is the most distant thing that he has ever seen with his own eyes. So that's very,
Wow.
very cool.
That
So
is very, very cool.
we got to have Starfleet to explore quasars and stuff, just because the Romulans and the Klingons, they're all, they're just getting in the way of the exploration. So
They're starting the fights. We're just, we're defending ourselves.
absolutely. And I'm assuming this is for my slip of the tongue there, that I have no excuse. Boy, I don't even know what my mouth did there. I apologize profusely. Ugh. I feel dirty. I honestly do.
It's not your fault, Dan.
I'm so
I'm I'm
tired.
I'm speaking as someone who is so freaking tired that I get it, and the things that have come out of my mouth that make absolutely no sense or are totally the wrong words, even though I know what the right word is. It happens. It's
Mhm.
okay. I'm here to tell you, it's okay. You don't need to feel dirty.
Oh,
It's
but I do
okay.
anyway. No, it's because this is a live show and I like it. Man, if I couldn't go back and edit myself doing podcasts, there's no way I would do them. So, ugh.
Oh god, yes. So true.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I do most
Editing,
of my
it's
own
great.
editing, and yeah, I'm constantly just going like, "Oh god, I can't believe I said that. Delete that." Ah, um, and also, yes, Matthew, without us, none of you would exist. I
Mhm.
absolutely, for a variety of reasons, including the, like, what, only 4 times that they've had to go back in time and save Earth from something, so, yeah.
5 max,
Max, yeah, love that. Oh, um, also, yeah, the conspiracy theorists, I loved them, going off about, um, what was the parasites and
To crawl
what
into your butt
yeah. Boyman was like,
and go
"That's
into your
just a
brain.
conspiracy. That didn't actually happen." Mariner asked,
Actually
I
kinda
think.
did.
Yeah, that was
That was
great.
one of the most disturbing Next Generation episodes I've ever seen because that was graphic. That
Yes.
end thing, graphic.
Yeah. Ugh. Well, the best thing the best thing about all of this, of course, is that, Boimler's ranting basically ends up being an incredible recruitment incentive because the one guy says, he's like, wow, if you get that confident being in Starfleet, sign me up. And do you do engineering? Oh yeah, we have a whole department for it. Oh yay, I love and Mariner's, yeah, signing people up to Starfleet, which really impresses Ransom, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he came there ready to send her to Starbase 80. "All right, Mariner, you better have a pad full," and there's all these people at the booth.
But of course Boimler is still on his
Raging, he's
rampage,
raging.
yeah.
Yeah.
um and he ends up having to go to the brig for a night, which at first Boimler is like, oh no, this is terrible, but Ransom's kind of like, no, are you kidding? The way you stood up for Starfleet, that was awesome. When you get out of the brig, join me for a drink. Boimler's just sitting in the brig just grinning.
Just
I
beaming.
It's so great. Oh man. Let's talk a little bit more about Petra Avedine. um, recruiting for independent archaeologists. Um, I loved, like I said, her digs at Starfleet and stuff. And then, of course, when all of this is going down, if you're watching carefully, she makes a beeline for the Antiquities Museum, just like Mariner predicted, that she's planning on looting it. Which it turns out by the end, when I watched it the second time, I'm like, wait, yeah, she looted it because they looted the
Mhm,
Grand Negus' staff from the
mhm.
Ferengi,
Yep.
which there's a bit of an indictment of museums and things there, because that whole legacy is very problematic, and I thought that was an interesting little aside there.
Indeed, and not just museums, but there are religious organizations, Catholic Church, that have
Mhm.
just thousands of works of art that they just stole and just have stored away. It's, kind of insane.
Yeah. But yeah, she steals back the Grand Negus's staff, and the Ferengi are paying a pretty hefty price for it. So she's, I mean, I'm not, that's not saying she's not also opportunistic, but you know,
Yeah.
um, what's worse? I don't know. But actually, I think I do know. But yeah.
Yeah, well, she did a job,
Mhm.
and I don't know that she is that makes her it doesn't make her altruistic in any way. She's getting paid very handsomely for doing this. And so it kind of feels like that she's a what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't remember. Um, I'll just use this one, a sort of an avatar for Vosh, who is a
Mm.
character I
Mhm.
absolutely loathe. And so I was just I kinda got those feelings from her, and so I just was just like, "Meh."
Uh, um. So DJ Kitty Cat, her voice sounded familiar, like she's voiced others. Now she voiced the captain in season 1, who was a classmate of Mariners, whose name I'm
Yes,
blanking on at the moment. But
me too. I can see your face, but I can't remember the name. I can't remember my own name half the time when I'm this tired, so
so her real name is Georgia King. Uh, oh, apparently she didn't.
Mm.
This is her only Star Trek credit.
Oh, wow.
That's weird. I would have sworn up and down she
It was the
was.
same voice. Hmm.
Oh, now I okay. I'm gonna now have to look up. That was the episode Much Ado About Boimler. Who played her then? Because that's insane that that's not the same person. I just totally assumed. Uh, oh yeah, no, it was Talks, and I can't remember her how to pronounce her last name, so I'm not gonna try. But who played? Yeah, no, totally different people. That blows my mind. Hmm. Okay, never mind. Just scratch that
See,
part out of my book that I just assumed. Ah, all right. Wow.
sometimes we're not ready. That's why
Yeah,
it's,
I want to hear the voices side by side now, because I'm like, I would have sworn. Okay, cool. Never mind. Definitely playing into our brand. Um so yeah, the last we see of her is she contacts Mariner and admits to the whole Grand Nagus staff thing, and kind of offers Mariner a place, by her side, doing all this kind of fancy stuff if she ever gets tired of Starfleet. Now, of course, Mariner refuses, but then we get that scene where it says, save contact or delete contact. And she kind of dithers a bit, but then hits save contact. So, I mean,
mm,
it fits with Mariner's character that she's not completely settled, right? Like she's always kind of chafing at constrictions and stuff. So, do you think this is something we're going to see played on again, or is it just kind of playing into her character a bit?
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Petra again. And, I think my honest feeling, and I could be totally wrong, is that Mariner is going to give this a try. She's going to do do this, no rules thing and just find out she doesn't like it, and it's not everything it's cracked up to be. That's my
Mhm.
personal feeling. So,
Yeah.
everything has positives and negatives. There is no one perfect job out there. So,
Testify.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see if they follow this up directly, I feel like that's the direction it would go. Um, I'm not convinced that it'll come back, but if it
Mm,
does, it'd be interesting to see, kind of her follow that route for a bit and see what happens there. That'd be kind of cool.
yeah.
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 Anything else from this part of the story we want to mention that didn't get talked about, or should we move on to, um, yeah, the
Yeah,
the heavy stuff?
let's move on to the part where for the first time Lower Decks made me cry.
Oh wow, I wondered. Okay. So the first thing is when you rewatch it, you notice the foreshadowing and all those things that. So when Tendi says, go get some sleep, I bet you'll wake up a new man. Well, he certainly does. Um, Probably not the way that he would have liked, but yeah. So um, basically, Tendi clears the cache in Rutherford's implant, and he goes get some rest because he's been stressed and awake from these dreams and stuff. And when he wakes up, his implant goes red, and we have who I'm just gonna call. At first we don't know who he is. Bizarro Rutherford, basically.
There you go.
And he's, immediately you realize he's unfamiliar with the Cerritos, he's unfamiliar with Rutherford's life, and our Rutherford kind of appears as his reflection. So when this part of the story first started, what were your thoughts? What was kind of going through your head as to what the heck is going on here?
I thought, "Wow, we're finally gonna understand what that weird flash of memory was at the end of season 2." That's what I thought.
Yeah, we're totally gonna know what happens and why it happened, and we're not just gonna have more added to the mystery at all.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because whenever you see the Rutherford that we know in, a reflective surface, it's not a mirror image,
Mhm.
because if it were a mirror image, the implant would be on the same side. It's not.
No.
So it's like he's looking through a window
Yeah.
and not a mirror image, which I found very interesting. And I noticed it the first time, and then I kind of forgot it. And when I watched it again, that's when I'm like, oh no, that's not a reflection. That is just that's the other Rutherford looking through.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely an interesting choice to for how they depicted it. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious that it's like all in his head or all in their head, I guess, if that makes sense. Like they're both kind of seeing it this way and interpreting it this way because, you know, he interacts with himself with other people
Mm,
around and they're not seeing this, right? This is all
right.
just kind of going on. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I would have been curious to see more from our Rutherford's perspective, like how he was seeing the Bizarro Rutherford,
Mm,
if that makes sense. I
mhm.
guess just he was trapped behind something and looking in. I guess that makes the most sense. But I found myself getting caught up in the like, ooh, how is this working? What's
Mm,
exactly going on kind of thing. But it's all in the head, right? So it can work however their brain wants it to work, I guess.
yeah.
Okay, so oh, creepy scene, Bizarro Rutherford creeping on Barnes, and that like the powerlessness in that situation to see like yourself being that way. Oh, that I
Mhm.
was like really squicked out on behalf of Rutherford and on behalf of Barnes. Like I was just like, oh, that's such a I hated that. I didn't. And then, oh, the immediately after that, when our Rutherford mentions Tendi, and that Rutherford goes, "Ooh, Tendi, who's that?" And computer, locate Tendi, and goes off, and just like that was terrifying. Like, I was
Mhm.
legitimately like really scared. Like,
I
what's he
was
gonna
scared. Yeah. I was scared for her safety.
Yeah.
Absolutely scared for her safety, both physical, mental, emotional, just
Hmm.
ooh, ugh, ooh, it made me feel icky.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason I laughed is Matthew's comment here. For anybody who's watched The Good Place, yeah, it was like, oh, he kind of sounds more like Pillboy there. And yeah, but just minus the what I'm guessing is probably years of substance abuse and his effect on his cognitive abilities, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, I heard that though for sure. I was like, oh, Pillboy.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, see, I've heard. I mean, I was very familiar with Eugene Cordero well before Lower Decks was even an apple in anyone's eye,
Mhm.
and the way that I learned about him was also the same way I learned about Tawny Newsome, and that was Paul F. Tompkins' podcast
Mm.
Spontaneation, and he, he was he's a very good improviser.
Yeah.
And so, and I think honestly, I think he's kind of a genius when it comes to voice acting as well, because he is so good at communicating so much with his voice and very easily drawing a clear distinction between Bizarro Rutherford and our Rutherford that we know and love.
Mm. Yeah, I loved how similar they sounded, but how completely different they sounded. Like,
Exactly.
and even the subtleties. So this scene with Tendi, where the Bizarro Rutherford is trying to talk like our Rutherford, and like mostly getting it right, but just there's still enough there that you're like, oh, he's putting on an act. This is not
Mhm.
real. That the subtlety of that and being able to get that across, especially since you don't even get to see the person's performance, it's all
Mhm.
voice. That is so good. I was really impressed with that.
Yes, and the second time that Dave and I watched it, I just turned to him and I said, "You know, Eugene Cordero's an effing genius." He's like,
Mhm.
"Yes, yes, he is."
Absolutely. So yeah, the scene, like I said, between Tendi and Rutherford, so much going on
Mm.
through my mind. And Rutherford, our Rutherford, is, trapped in the shuttle window trying to get Tendy's attention, but he discovers that if he hits the implant, and again my brain's kind of going like, what's really happening right now, what's going on? But again, it's in the mind, but it's affecting the implant, whatever mentally he's doing. uh
It's
Manages,
just some Tron stuff. Just don't worry about it.
yeah, but it manages to disrupt the Bizarro Rutherford's implant and stuff. And then the moment, like when he runs off, but he shoves Tendi to the ground and runs off, I was just like,
Mm.
oh,
Ugh.
oh. But the upside of that is, of course, Tendi absolutely knows that this is not her Rutherford and something is going on, and she calls like security and medical, and yay, Tendi, you're awesome. Um,
She is indeed.
now, plus we get an Omicron SETI 3 spore plant in this scene, which is kind of cool.
Mhm.
That was fun. Just thought I'd mention that.
Well, yeah, no, it's just a, little thing, just a little thing.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Um, Shax. Shax. I love Shax so
Shucks.
much.
Is so great.
The transporter room when he confronts Rutherford and calls him baby bear. I'm just like, every time I'm just like, so
Mhm.
great. But yeah, Rutherford would know that Tolgana, four has
4,
a
yeah.
scattering field that doesn't allow transporters to operate. So, you would know that if you were the real Rutherford kind of thing. But he beams
Mhm.
himself to the captain's yacht. I kind of thought we'd have some cool Captain's Yacht action, but we have our Rutherford buying some time by doing the hitting the implant thing, buying just enough time for Shax to come along and stun our guy. That was awesome. I love that.
Yeah, well,
Shax.
see, that's what it takes. He knows the crew, and Bizarro Rutherford does not. And yeah, he trusted Shax. He knew Shax, what Shax would do, and that's that just warms my heart. That you know, just
Yeah. And yeah, Patrick, the constant references to anaphasic life forms inhabiting. Yeah. Yeah. Bring a light hot candle. Why not? You'll bring the ghost. Oh my god, that episode exists. It exists, and my mind is still blown. Whew.
Well, if Gates McFadden can make fun of it and laugh about it, so can we.
Yep. I loved, by the way, that at STLV they were selling, I don't know what booth or what, but like on card back and Bubble, the anaphasic ghost candle from
The
Lower
blister
Deck.
packs, yeah.
Oh man. Best. Oh man, that was so good. I look at that and laugh and think like, that's cute. But if I'd have been at STLV, I probably would have bought one.
I absolutely would have bought one.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's so great. Uh, you know, I would not doubt it. There was so much on the that's one thing I did not do is go through and catalog all of the Easter eggs on the tables and stuff there's so much. And apparently, Trek Culture pointed it out. So
Mhm.
shout out to the guys at Trek Culture, by the way, for their Easter egg videos.
Yes.
I used to do them and I keep wanting to, but I don't have any time. But those guys, they knock it out of the park. Sean Farrick, great presenter and always does such an awesome job. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so we have Ta'ana and Rutherford in sick bay, and he's out cold, and basically they're waiting to see which Rutherford it is will wake up. And we go into the mind, and it's a white mindscape, I guess, and it's the two Rutherfords. This is where we kind of learn that the other Rutherford is basically him from over a decade ago, which like at this point when I first watched the episode, I'm starting to get really scared that like our Rutherford is the thing that overwrote the real Rutherford and this guy's the real Rutherford. Like I was starting to kind of get worried like something nefarious happened and the person who now currently has control of the body, like our Rutherford, is the one who's not supposed to be there. And I was like, but I don't want this guy. So I was starting to get
None of us
a
do.
little bit worried about that.
I was never worried, I'll be honest. I was
Mhm.
never worried they would not do that to us.
I know, but I just a little worried.
Mm.
But we get another little flash of that scene that we saw last season, right? He'll think it's elective. This whole like, what'll we do
We
if he
programmed that in, yeah.
Yeah. Which, that's we get a little bit more added to that later, which we'll get to. But uh, basically, to sum it up, one of them has to come out on top as far as controlling the body, and they have to figure out how to decide between the two of them. And they decide to have a race.
Race.
A race with they design and build their own ships and race each other basically. And as soon as our Rutherford pulled that pad out and you see that graphic for like half a second, I was like, oh, it's the Delta Flyer.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at it the first time we watched it, I was looking at it and I'm like, Is he building the Delta Flyer? Is he building the Delta Flyer? And I'm just like, I got so excited.
But it's got really cool pop-out impulse thrusters. And also a matching outfit.
Oh my goodness, when I was waiting for John Delancey's autograph, because he was late, there was a woman, a couple of people behind us that was in a Delta Flyers jumpsuit,
Oh
and she looked
man,
great.
that was so great. I love that they resurrected that uniform that we only saw
Mhm.
in the episode Drive when they're racing the
Yep.
Delta Flyer. Inexplicably, they have racing outfits. Cool.
Because why not? Which is also incidentally the episode where Tom and B'Elanna get married off screen.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
Like, what the what? We don't get to see the wedding?
The
Rude.
um the official explanation that I've seen that the writers room had was that we'd already seen a Balana Tom wedding because
That
they're
wasn't them,
I
though.
I know. I agree. I'm not saying I agree with what they're saying. But yeah, their biomimetic duplicates got married. So we don't need to
No,
see that.
that is
Whatever.
not the same thing. We wanted that wedding. We deserved that wedding.
Absolutely. Also, whoops. Oh, there we go. Also, Patrick, I had the exact same thought. I was like, he should have added the dynametric tail fins that Tom wanted to add. Those are one of my favorite little bits in Voyager, by the way, when it says computer add dynametric tail fins. And Tuvok's like, computer, delete dynametric tail fins. We are not designing a hot rod. Oh.
Yeah, honestly, they were only ornamental. I
Yeah.
mean, there was no point to them.
No, but Delta Flyer looks cool without them too. So,
Yes. Yes.
but yeah, I love that they have these Devron races through the neutral zone, and of course, that's a reference to the Devron system where the anti-time anomaly formed in All Good Things. I thought that was a nice little
Which my
uh
mom was watching last week.
nice. um and yeah, so we've got the Delta Flyer and matching outfits, and we've got this race through the neutral zone, and of course a Romulan warbird shows up and starts attacking them. And I'm going to make a prediction. I don't know that this is right, but I'm going to guess where it was you cried. I'm going to
Mm.
say this is just a complete guess because this is where I got a little choked up. I didn't quite get there, but I was like, when they're they're racing and they're both running into trouble, and Rutherford says something, and Bizarro Rutherford says, "What, are you talking to yourself now?" He's like, "No, I'm talking to my crew. You don't think I do this without my friends, do you?" And Boimler and Mariner and Tendi are all there in the matching uniforms. I was just like, that's so great. I was so, yeah, I was a little bit of a soft marshmallow at that point, personally.
Mhm. That is not where I cried.
Ah, okay. All right.
I got a little misty-eyed, but I did not cry. That
Mm,
came later.
okay. All right. I have other ideas, but okay. I took my shot though, so.
Yeah, you're all good.
But yeah, he's got his crew, he's got his friends there, and I love that moment. And then when Rutherford says something and Mariner goes, "Okie dokie." That was great. I love that.
Yep,
That was
yep.
wonderful.
Well, I mean, they were in his brain, so
Mhm. Yeah, they're extensions of him basically, but
yes.
yeah. So yeah, basically, they rescue Bizarro Rutherford because he's running into trouble, which that's what our Rutherford would do, right? And
Mhm.
um, I guess he sort of won the race because he survived, but the other Rutherford is horribly injured and or whatever. It's all in their mind, but that's how it works out. And um as he's dying though, we get the little bit more about what's going on with Rutherford's implant. And I wrote down all of the dialogue here because there's a lot to like kind of pick apart here.
Mm-hmm.
So Percy says, I remember a little bit. And remember, does like the mind meld thing. So there's the explosion and a pretty horrific injury. And someone says, this is going to set us back years. And then it goes to the surgery when they're, installing the implant. And they say, how much do you want to erase? And then there's this mysterious figure in the background who says, everything that has to do with me or the program. And someone else says, that's a lot. He'll come out with a totally different personality. I don't care. So what was the and then the rest of the conversation is, as we've heard before, was what do we do if he asks about wonders why he has this? We've programmed that in. He'll think it was elective. So what are they covering up? What was the cover up there? Gah! And I will just cards on the table. I've watched the next episode, which has nothing to do with any of this. So I have no idea. I don't.
Nope. They're not going to give us that immediate gratification. No. Are you kidding?
No, but I just wanted to, like, as a disclaimer, I don't know. I have no idea. Any wild theories, thoughts?
Lord, anything? No. Yeah, I'm too tired for theories. It's just my brain is mush right now.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I have no idea, but yeah, that was what would be set back years, and what are they covering up?
Something definitely against Starfleet regulations.
Oh, John Guppy, I really hope we don't have to wait that long.
Me too. I really don't want to wait that long.
So, yeah, basically, our Rutherford is the one who ascends into the beam of light and is the one who
also very up. Tron. Very Tron.
Yes. You guys. Absolutely.
Yeah, the point where I cried was when our Rutherford was trying to find a way for the two of them to, merge to share the body. And Bizarro Rutherford says, no, this is right. This is right. And that's when I lost it.
Oh, yeah, I get that. And also, yeah, at one point, our Rutherford, when he's talking about, like, maybe we could merge together and blah, blah, blah. And the other Rutherford says, well, then neither of us would be us or something like that. I can't. Then we would be neither of us or something.
Yeah, neither of us would exist.
Yeah. Oh, that was brutal. But it's our Rutherford who wakes up, and we kind of meet up with everyone hanging out at the brig because Boimler's sitting in there grinning like an idiot, but he's our idiot and we love him. Yeah, Rutherford's just going through, I guess, all of Starfleet personnel who were higher up than him when he was at the Academy. And like he says, it could be anybody. So,
well, you could narrow it down to a male.
Yeah, I guess so. Although, oddly enough, he's looking at both males and female people on the pad. So, I don't know. He needs to narrow those parameters a little bit more, I think. But,
yeah. Well, it'd have to be someone who was in Starfleet, someone who was on Earth, because that's where Starfleet Academy is. So, that's not a lot to narrow it down.
Yeah. So, a heavier episode than usual for sure, but honestly, I'll just come right out and say it at the beginning. I think one of my favorites of the series to date, like, because it's so meaningful as far as one of our main characters goes, and just the the comfortableness with which Lower Decks seems to be finding itself now, in that
Mhm.
it's no longer having to prove itself. It's making callbacks to itself, and it's confident in its place in Star Trek lore at this point, if that makes sense. And I really appreciate that. I really like that.
I agree. It's they know who they are. They know what they are, and they are still pushing the boundaries of that. They pushed the boundaries of that with this episode and proved that they can make that work. They can make something more dramatic work. And God, they're just so good. They're
Mm-hmm.
just so good at this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so already looking forward to season 4. But yeah, this episode was, I don't want to say turning point. It's not that. It it was it was just one of those that is really going to stick with me for a long time, for the Rutherford story and for, watching Boimler lose his mind because, you know,
Yes.
again, I feel you, man. I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Also, yeah, Matthew, yes. The elliptical delta. It was the delta
Mm.
with the ellipse behind it. So older style by the looks of it, the guy in the background, the mysterious person. So possibly a clue there as well. I don't know. But yeah. Um Final thoughts and ratings for reflections. And this goes for the fine folks in the comments as well. So Brandi, final thoughts.
I don't know that I have anything more to say. This episode was brilliant, and it's again balances comedy and drama extremely well. And it made me cry. Never expected to cry during a Lower Decks episode, but hey, they made me do it, and I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. I love to feel feelings, y'all, and this
Mm-hmm.
one gave me so many feels, so on both the storylines. So, I will give it one ginormous Tulgana 4 Starfleet booth.
Excellent.
Oh my word, I misread conspiratorial.
Dare I ask?
I thought it was constipated. Because butt bugs.
Well, one would imagine that butt bugs would have that effect. So,
They would indeed.
um, yeah, so much going on in this episode. Like I said, I think it might be one of my favorites of the series up to this point.
Agree.
Um, so much character development and just a deep dive into, one of my favorite characters. Um, yeah, I can't find anything that I didn't like about this episode. So I think most of what I've said has been what I want to say has been said. So I'm gonna give it um yeah, I'm gonna give it 2 prominent dynametric tail fins on an imaginary Delta Flyer out of 2. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent.
Um see, when Brandi first laughed, that's what I thought too, Dave. But yeah.
You probably thought plugs, didn't you, honey?
That's where my mind went.
He's just in the next room, but obviously I'm not gonna shout out the door to him.
uh,
Oh my goodness.
oh, did I? I'm not sure if I missed Donnie's rank, but I'll put it up there anyway. Not sure if I, but anyway.
You did get it, actually.
Okay, all right. But yeah, so um, next week's episode. I'm so excited. I'm not gonna say anything more. Except that this is the episode I've been waiting for 23 years. That's all I'm going to say about it. So, yeah. Brandi, when people want to follow what you're doing online and want to hear you squee as soon as we're able to about when the next episode comes out, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Brandywine12. That's the easiest place to know what I'm doing. Again, you could listen to my podcasts, which you will find when there's a new episode available. It will be posted on my Twitter. So, and yeah, that's just do that. Just do that. Just do that.
Excellent. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Kertrats, Kertrats. And of course, in the Positively Trek podcast with Barry DeFord. We've got a new episode coming out this week. We seem to have moved everything to Wednesdays instead of Tuesdays, excuse me. So, yeah, kind of changing around the schedule a little bit. And then the week after that, if all goes according to plan, we'll have a book club episode with me and Jessie Gender, and we'll be talking with Una McCormick about her new novel, Star Trek Picard's Second Self. And if y'all haven't read that novel, I'm not quite finished it yet, but it is so good so far.
It's Una McCormick, of course. It's so good.
It goes without being said, but I'm still saying it. It's so good. So yeah. With that said, I guess we'll see you all next week. Until then, live long and prosper and have a great week and stay safe and be well.